Hello everyone and hello my lovely little weasels. Saryn Prime and the Kuva Sobek are a match made in heaven. They are the perfect relationship where they bring out the best in each other, allowing you to basically nuke every single room in a Warframe. Now, how are you going to do that? Is this build any good? What are you talking about? Well, all of that will be explained in this video. Now, the Sobek and the Saryn build, I guess, has been here for quite a time now, but I decided to put in my gaming weasel sprinkles on it. So without any more sprinkling around, let's quickly get into her passive, allowing status effects to last 25% longer. So that is very nice. Spores is her first ability. Casting this on an enemy will put a virus on them, which will do corrosive damage, and this little meter in the bottom right, you can see there, yeah, this will go up, and the more this virus spreads, and more the spore spreads, and the more damage that you do, and of course it will decay. If you do not spread the spores, your virus will sadly die out, and you will probably too. So we need to keep that up. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to be doing that with our other abilities, but something we want a little bit more from spores. Well, then we slap on this, the Venom Dose Augment. This will, holding down the ability, allow us to gain additional corrosive damage on our weapons, and our, of course, team's gonna get some, so that's pretty cool. But this is going to be very good because of the Kuva Sobek, which we will get on later. So Molt is her second ability. Molt does toxin damage, it explodes. It also increases your movement speed, and it status cleanses you, so that's a very good, and this is going to be our main shield gating ability. Toxic Lash is an ability that is going to be active at all times. That is not a tip, it is definitely a command, so it should be active. It gives you additional toxin damage on your weapons, which is very good, and the best thing in the world, your little virus is going to survive now because it auto bursts spores on enemies and spreads them around. So yes, we want that, that is a must. And Miasma is definitely not a must. Miasma basically does viral damage in a radius, and it also does more damage to sport enemies. That's pretty cool, but like Rhino's Roar is much better. Now, in my head, I was deciding, should I go crowd control or should I go damage? Rhino's Roar apparently won, and then we get additional weapon damage and ability damage for the duration of this ability. Now, we've talked about everything, the Helminth ability, the abilities themselves. Let's cover the Saryn build. Now, the Saryn build looks like this. We have Brief Respite, we have Stretch, Unbreakable Intensify, Venom Dose, Equilibrium, we have Transient Fortitude, Prime Continuity, August Secrets, Overextended, and then for the Arcanes we have Molt Reconstruct, which is going to heal us when we use energy, and Brief Respite is going to give us back shields, so that's very cool, and then Arcane Blessing. Now this is going to be for health, but if you're good, use Molt Augmented. I'm someone who is incredibly bad at surviving in Warframe, so that is going to be probably for you the better option. And then we have Prime Sure-Footed, but we're not going to really cover that, but I definitely recommend you do have it. With this, I wouldn't really change anything out. Precision Intensify is an option, but you need the damage boost from Venom Dose and Toxic Lash, so I wouldn't really recommend it. You can put on Umbral Vitality if you want, instead of Augur Secrets, but I think additional power strength is not that needed. At least in my situation, I did try to use Blind Rage, but then I needed to use Arcane Energize, and I need more energy, and then I was like, this is falling into shambles, and then I decided to go somewhere in the between ground where you're nuking everything, but you're also chilling at the same time. You're not worried about dying. So one thing that is going to help with that is going to be the Archon shards. Now, we have one for casting speed, we have one for ability damage on enemies affected by corrosive, we have 2 stacks, or I guess 4 stacks of corrosive, and ability strength by 10%. Now, maxing at 14 stacks on corrosive is going to give us that beautiful 100% armor strip, and the additional damage is going to be very nice as well. So I definitely recommend you do try that out. But something that is definitely needed is the Kuva Sobek. Now, my Kuva Sobek has heat damage. If you do want to use toxin and or cold or even electricity, you can do it. I decided to go for heat. It seems like the best option, at least in my opinion. So this is what the Kuva Sobek build looks like. We have Galvanized Hell, Prime Cleanse Corrupted, Acid Shells, Seeking Fury, Galvanized Savvy, Contagion Spread, Chilling Reload, Toxic Barrage. We have Vigilant Supplies, you can put honestly anything here, and then we have Primary Blight. On Toxin, we gain additional critical damage and we gain multi-shot, stacking up to 40 times, which is very nice. But do not worry, you do not have to have this. You can use primary merciless. The damage output is going to be so not noticeable, you're literally not going to know the difference, I think, in my opinion. If you look at the nitty-gritty, you will, but this will allow us to basically nuke everything. And of course, the most important thing is acid shells. What is acid shells? There you go, up on the screen right there, we have this mod. The enemies that are killed by the Kuva Sobek, of course, and by you, is going to be exploding, dealing 450 corrosive damage, or even more, of course, and this is based on enemy max health in a radius of 15 meters. Now, the good thing about this is, as you might have noticed, we didn't really focus too much on actual damage. We did put Seeking Fury in, which will make enemies even more weaker. Having corrosive and viral, which we already do through our other buffs, and also viral on our Sobek, is going to be even better, because applying these procs before the explosion is going to be amplifying the actual burst, or I guess the damage of acid shells, of course, alongside the other buffs. This is very, very nice, and the best tip that I can honestly give you here is aim at the strongest enemy. You necessarily don't need to, but if you aim at the strongest enemy, everything else is going to basically instantly die without you even needing to see it. But of course, you can just shoot sporadically and maybe kill something, and the chain reaction will begin, and you will not know where your head and or nose are. But something that you should know is definitely the secondary and the melee. We have the Epitaph as our secondary, and this is going to allow us to gain a little bit of shields as well, and do additional viral, radiation, and of course blast damage. And the melee is the dual Ichor and Cornin. Now, I actually made a build video about this with Saryn and the dual Ichor and Cornin. Having this on this build is basically icing on the cake. By the way, if you didn't watch the build, the little eye up there, you can click it. It's a pretty cool build, I think. But yeah, so that is a really, really good combination. But in this case, because we're not focusing on the melee, we're going to be using a different focus tool, that being Madurai. We're going to be using Power Transfer for 50% additional casting speed, and of course Sling Strength for additional 40% power strength. So this is where the power strength comes in. Utilize your focus tool and you will basically have a lot more damage. And activating all of these buffs and everything, and having it active at the same time, your spores are already spreading around the place, your little child virus is running around and basically murdering everything alongside the acid shells from your Kuva Sobek. And everything is fine and dandy, but of course you do need a companion to go with you, so we'll bring along Worm Prime. Here we have Guardian, which is going to recharge our shields. We have Negate, which is going to act as Adaptation. We have Synth Deconstruct, pairing with Equilibrium, giving us Health Orbs and Energy Orbs. Shield Charger, charging up shields. We have Vacuum, Assault Mode. We have Manifold Bond, which reduces, of course, the ability charge up time, I guess. We have Calculated Shields, and then Reinforced Bond. Now, when our max shields are over 1200 or over shields, we gain 60% fire rate, which is very, very nice, and we definitely do need that on the Kuva Sobek. And then Prime Regen, which is just here to, primary regen the worm when he dies. So yeah, we are using the Death Machine Prime here, so you can see that up on screen, and that is basically everything build-wise. How are you supposed to use this build, you might be asking yourself? Well, first of all, cast Spores, and then you can cast your third ability, Toxic Lash, and then Roar, or even hold down your first ability and just spread the affliction. Shoot enemies with your Kuva Sobek, and the affliction will spread around enemies. Honestly, most of the time, you're actually not gonna have a lot of enemies near you because they're all gonna be instantaneously dying. Now, one thing that I have noticed is that Acolytes can be sometimes an issue because they deactivate a lot of your abilities. Well, at least I've been coming across that Acolyte that deactivates your all abilities, so it's not the happiest time. But of course, you can survive with this build. You have plenty energy that you can literally spam Molt if you want to, like a madman. He will never be able to kill you. So you also have enough damage to kill the Acolytes. So even Acolytes are not that big of a worry in this game. So, but of course, do be wary. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this build. If you guys did, do leave a like, comment down below on what you think of the build, and of course, do subscribe for more. This has been me, your lovely host, the Gaming Weasel, and I will see you guys on the next one. The Gaming Weasel, over and out.